The pentagram. The pentagram is a magical figure, well known from ancient times. It has been bestowed as a gift to humanity by the great devotees. Its meaning has not been known, however. It was familiar only to some really devoted people. A radiating star of light and life. It is a live figure encompassing great dynamic forces. The position of the pentagram is very important for one to be able to connect with the positive dynamic powers it radiates. If it is positioned in a wrong way, negative powers and energies that have been closed in the most inner circle unlock themselves. To benefit from the pentagram, it should always be in a circle. This radiant star should always be in a circle. The circle actually represents a formula which can be seen. There are two more formulas in the inner and most inner circles, which are actually invisible. It should also have one ray pointed upwards, not two rays. When there is one ray up, then the positive, dynamic powers within the figure unlock themselves. When there are two rays upwards, this symbolizes the devil, which is mystically closed in the most inner circle of the pentagram. The pentagram, as I said, has been known to some devotees. It has been familiar to Leonardo da Vinci, to Goethe. When Mephistopheles came to take Faust's soul, Faust drew a pentagram, which Mephistopheles could not overcome. The great representative of the Italian Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci, was also very familiar with the symbol and the meaning of the pentagram. He painted the Last Supper in a pentagram composition. In art, there are vertical, horizontal, diagonal compositions, but only Leonardo works with a pentagram composition. Of course, the painting should be observed close up. On the top of the Last Supper, on top of the ray of truth, he positions Jesus, while the other apostles are positioned along the other rays of the pentagram. The German artist, representative of the Renaissance, Alfred Dürer, was also familiar with the meaning of the pentagram. He has left us a system of circles in which one can draw a perfect pentagram. This is to show that if we unfold the circle in the third dimension, we will have the spiral taking man in his evolutionary path to the radiant peaks of cosmic consciousness. Let us go back to Leonardo da Vinci. He has bequeathed us the cosmic person, closed in a circle. The meaning and message Leonardo sends us through the ages is: people descend from the cross, symbol of limitations and lack of freedom, get free from suffering, and start on the path of evolution, the path of perfection, so that one day you reach your Creator God. Leonardo's person is also inscribed in a circle. Man as a cosmic concept, as a vision, as a model, is expressed in the human body. He has the following virtues. Standing in a pentagram position, one represents the living cosmic person. As I have said, the pentagram is a live figure. The right leg corresponds to justice. The left leg is related to virtue and virtues in general. The right arm is related to wisdom. The left arm is related to love. And the head represents the truth. In the New Testament of the Holy Scriptures, Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." I am the way, going along the rays of the pentagram. Truth. You will know the truth and will meet Christ, who from there on will be a patron for the disciple. And walking along the path of the other virtues, that is, the path of Christ, one day we will really become immortal as Jesus. Now I will explain the figure of the pentagram. In the pentagram and Paneurhythmy, there are represented the four phases through which humanity goes. The man of the Old Testament outside the rays of the pentagram, the man of the New Testament, the righteous one, and the disciple. Here are the symbols. When one is a young soul, here is the sword. One thinks that power, physical, financial, political or whatever, can serve one for their own benefit. However, there is no consequence without a cause. One will have to experience the consequences of suffering they have inflicted using the sword of power, and will be forced to drink the glass of bitter sorrow. Then they will think why these sufferings have come. They will look for the causes of that karma. Thinking in this way, one actually learns a lesson from the great book of life, reaches a state of a certain enlightenment, and starts realizing the reasons of suffering. Having acquired some light, one reaches the scepter. One reaches the idea that instead of overpowering people, it is best to master the billions of cells within him. It is best to master one's passion, feelings, etc. One should learn to master one's whole self. The scepter is a symbol of power, but this is the power of self-control. Having passed through this external circle, we have not reached yet the rays of the pentagram. However, we already have certain knowledge and experience. We have learnt a lesson from the great book of life. One reaches the level of consciousness where one is consciously willing to walk the path of the disciple and look for one's teacher. The disciples to be, so to say, are in the beginning of the first ray. Here one can see a broad staircase and a wide gateway. We can sit for millions of years on these stairs before we get a chance to start on the path of the disciple. As you can see, the rays of the pentagram are drawn with double lines. This is to remind us that this is just a path. What is a path? We start from one point and end up in another point. We are following a goal. We walk directly on the path without any deviations. That is, on both sides of the path there are limitations. But they are not forceful. They are not external. These limitations are actually internal. The disciples impose on themselves internal limitations in order to direct all their thoughts, feelings and energy to a certain goal. Thus the disciples start walking the path of truth and meet their teacher, Jesus Christ. Here, on top of the ray of truth, we have the image of Jesus Christ. The 5 rays of the pentagram represent 5 big tests that every individual and the whole of humanity have to take. Let us suppose we have passed the test of truth. We walk ahead and learn the lessons of justice. What is that supposed to mean? This means we have to understand that each of us has been given a certain limit in this life. No one can limit others' freedom. We have to be just and try to estimate objectively other people's thoughts, feelings and actions. Having taken this test, we start on the ascending ray of love. In some other pictures it has been depicted as a very narrow path in a steep rock, in the form of small narrow steps. Your feet will bleed when you learn this lesson of love, says Christ. It is very difficult, one of the most difficult tests, while at the same time it is the easiest method. Let us suppose we have passed this test too, and we come to the eye of wisdom, the horizontal ray of wisdom, which comes to say, the key of knowledge will be given only to those who have passed the test of love, because they have already burnt in the fire of love. A person who has passed the test of love will not misuse the deep occult knowledge the ray of wisdom would give him. We have passed this test too, and here is the tree with the 12 fruits that I mentioned in sun rays, talking about the spiritual world and how it works with the number 12. This tree has 12 apples. Here on the colorful pentagram, they can be seen more clearly. In this pentagram, the eye of wisdom is drawn in a triangle. The Master says that in all possibilities for the development of humanity are in the triangle. Here is also the candlestick. So we reach wisdom, moving in the direction of virtue. What do we mean by virtue? We understand 2 things: kindness in general, to be consciously kind, and all other virtues: compassion, faith, patience, mildness, gentleness, nobleness, etc. This means here we have many small tests to take before we are able to pass the test of virtue and virtues in general. Here ends the path of the disciple. The pentagram is surrounded by 3 circles, one of which is visible, and in it is inscribed the formula, "In the fulfillment of God's will lies the freedom of human soul." There is another circle inside the pentagram which is invisible and surrounds the next pentagram. There is another formula which is, as I already said, also invisible. God loved the world so much that he sacrificed his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him have faith. And in the innermost circle, here this pentagon, is written the formula, "Search for the kingdom of God and all the rest will be given upon you." In the pentagram there are also some symbols related to the planets. For example, there are depicted Saturn, Jupiter and some others. There are also some big letters outside the rays, V, U, Ž. They are translated in the following way: the great school of life, or if we read this letter as H, then we have the following phrase: Christ, a great teacher. In the innermost circle, where we see Hermes' scepter and the snakes entwined around it, actually encompasses the dynamic forces of evil. That is why we have to be very careful with the form of the pentagram. The room in which there is a pentagram should always be positioned in the right way, but it is also very important that there is always love and harmony. If eventually some disharmonic relations appear, the evil forces are automatically unlocked. You can see them, the snakes locked in the inner pentagram. Here you can also see symbols of Mercury, Venus, the Moon and the planets, which have influence. On the colorful pentagram, you can see that the rays have different colors. The color of truth is light blue, of justice light green, of love pink, gentle pink. The color of Christ's love is gentle pink also. Of wisdom, yellow. Virtue should have a color of ripe wheat. Here the color is not very good. Here you can also see some other symbols. This, for example, is the winged eye of the soul. The Master says it is situated between the 2 hemispheres of the brain. This little sun corresponds to the real big sun. That is, it receives messages from God. These are the figures and formulas in the pentagram. Scientists have discovered that right here there is a substance of white particles, like little hairs, and they are not sure about their meaning. The Master says that this is the starting point for the formation of the cosmic consciousness. Pentagram. The 5 big tests. If you want the higher beings to help you, says the Master, you have to work with their virtues. If you do not want the lower beings to stand in your way, you shouldn't use their methods, and you should be free from their weaknesses. Walking the circle of Paneurhythmy, we actually learn and work with the principle of love. The radial rays of the sun rays master the principle of wisdom. The pentagrams, moving on the surface of the circle, work with the principle of truth. Three great principles. In the Bible, the pentagram is represented with the example of the 5 great peaks. These are Ararat, where Noah arrives with his ark. Noah humanity exists since then. The second peak is Moriah, where Abraham was ready to sacrifice his son in the name of God. The third peak is Sinai, where God gives the tables to Moses. The fourth peak is Tabor, the descending of God's Spirit. The fifth peak is Golgotha. The Master says that it is good to think 5 minutes a day about these 5 peaks, which have played, play, and will play an important role in the evolutionary path of humanity. The only reality that exists in the world, which has given rise to everything, is love. The only way in which this reality expresses itself is wisdom. And the only form this reality takes is truth. As you can see, the couples in the pentagram are facing the direction of the movement. This has happened after the end of the sun rays, where the radial beams are facing the center. Then all couples turn at 90 degrees, and in this way they are already facing the direction of the movement. As was during the first part of Paneurhythmy, the sixth couple from the sun rays goes away and forms a separate pentagram with the other 6 couples from the other beams. Dances in the pentagram are in the following way. The middle couple is the head. The 2 closest to the head couples are the feet, and the peripheral couples are the arms. Peripheral couples, side couples next to the head and the head. All couples taking part in the pentagram will be in the role of the head once and twice in the role of the feet and the arms. The pentagram, as we have already mentioned, is the future cosmic person. This is the third stage from the evolution of consciousness. Although there are 5 steps in this process, globally from the viewpoint of Paneurhythmy, the pentagram is the third big part, the final part, the cosmic person. The Master says that we will see the cosmic person from the height of divine consciousness. However, now, while dancing the pentagram, we depict the birth, the creation of the cosmic person here on earth. The pentagram is built on the number 8. All couples in the pentagram start moving with the right foot, and on the 8th step, the 2 couples next to the head, representing the feet, stop. It is like the embryo in the womb of the mother. It is the legs that develop first. The other 3 couples, that is, the head and the arms, continue to move. On the 16th step, the 2 couples, which have been moving together with the head, stop. These are the arms. The head continues to move, and on the 24th step, at the word freedom, after the word has been pronounced, the head couple turns to the right. In this way, we have a beautiful pentagram, a beautiful 5-ray star. While the head couple is turning, the other 4 couples, feet and arms, also turn till they face the center. Thus they form 2 circles, inner and outer. While the head couple is turning, the other couples equalize the distance between all couples. Then the dancers from the inner circle, starting with their right foot, pass by the couple on their left and go to visit the next dancer. That means they pass by the left couple and go to the next one and stand behind the dancer from the outer circle. When the dancers from the inner circle start moving, the outer circle makes 1 step forward to the center and take the place of their partners. After that, the dancers from the new inner circle go to their partners, who in their turn also make a step forward, and then their real partners stand behind them. There comes a new phase. All couples turn in the direction of the movement, and the partner at the back always follows the partner in front. First start the couples most far behind. These are the feet, who in 8 steps catch up with the right and left arm. The arms have only turned in the direction of the movement and are waiting for the feet to catch up with them in 8 steps. Then both feet and arms start, and in 8 steps they are in line with the head couple. In the meantime, the head has only turned in the direction of the movement and is waiting for the wings to arrive. Right foot, right arm, and left foot, left arm. The pentagram is united again, only this time in a different order. It is very important the pentagram to be in a straight line and to be centered. This is the task of the head couple. The pentagrams should move radially to the musicians, the orchestra in the middle.
Pentagramите се движат радиално около оркестъра, около музикантите.
The task of the head, as it is in the human body, is to be always careful what is going on. It is responsible for the behavior and movement of the whole pentagram. Every couple that will be in the role of a head should be penetrated with the feeling of responsibility. How is my pentagram moving? Are we positioned radially? Are the feet and arms equally distanced? Are we moving too fast? Because we can catch up with the pentagram in front. Or are we too slow? The head is responsible for taking care of the distance between its own pentagram and the pentagrams in front and behind it, thus determining the speed of movement of the whole pentagram. The head sets the pace, sets the rhythm and the speed of the movement. All other participants, arm and feet couples, comply with the speed of the head. So the whole pentagram starts on this epic march, and they move together till the end of the music. After that, a new pentagram is being formed, according to the described above rules, only this time in a different order. Why is this so? Because, as I said, every couple will become once a head and twice arms and feet. There are several ways to check whether the dancers move in the right way. One way is the already mentioned, each couple should become once a head couple and twice arms and feet. The other way, the couple closest to the orchestra will become a couple farthest behind or farthest to the right. Then it will move to the left of the head. Then it will become a head, then a right foot. In fact, the first couple closest to the orchestra is actually the left arm. It will become a right arm, then it will be a head to be on the left side of the head, that is left foot, then a head, and at the end a right foot. The future head is always on the left side of the current head. The ex-head is always on the right of the current head. And so, my dear friends, our course comes to an end. Finally, I would like to wish you to learn these beautiful poems and wonderful songs, so that Paneurhythmy can influence all dancers and our surroundings with its three important elements: music, poetry and movement.